One of the biggest challenges language learners face is this. They do great in class or while studying on their own, but when it comes to speaking in real life situations, it feels like they know nothing. Or maybe they understand an English movie perfectly, but can't summarize it in English if you ask them. They get the meaning but cannot express it. Sounds familiar? Well, let me tell you, this is super common. It is not just your problem. It's something almost all language learners struggle with, and there are a few reasons behind it. In class or using an app, everything is structured. You know you're learning past tense today or some new vocabulary tomorrow. But in real life, no one tells you when to use a specific grammar structure or which word fits best. That's why, when in a real life situation, your brain struggles to find the right answer. Why does this happen? Because most learning methods focus on knowing the language, not using it. You memorize vocabulary, you learn grammar rules, but you don't practice using them quickly and naturally. The good news is, there are simple techniques to train your brain to use the language and make your learning more practical. In this video, I'll share some great tips to help you overcome this problem and handle real-life situations with confidence. What is your goal in learning a new language? Reading textbook? Working abroad? Talking to people? Whatever it is, set your learning path based on that. For example, if your goal is working in a different country, start with common phrases and vocabulary for your field and practice building sentences with them. If your goal is conversation, you need to start speaking from day one. Yes, from day one. Even if there is no one to practice with, you are your best speaking partner. Talk to yourself. It might feel silly, but just arranging words into sentences help you improve. Practice even in your head. Don't worry, no one is judging you. If you've only learned basic greetings, practice those repeatedly. You'd be surprised how many people with excellent English still struggle with simple things like small talk because they don't practice these basic skills early on. So tip number one is goal-oriented learning. Whatever you learn, make sure it directly supports your goal. For conversation, focus on simple and practical phrases like, how are you doing? What's your plan for today? These are much more useful than memorizing a complex word you might never use. A common mistake is thinking you need to master one lesson 100% before you move on to the next. But the truth is, your brain needs repetition and new challenges to process information better. Think about learning to drive. If you only practice on one road repeatedly, will you be able to drive anywhere? Probably not. You need to experience different situations, busy streets, curvy roads, or even parking in tight spots. Language learning is the same. What should you do? Keep learning new things, even if you haven't mastered the previous ones. This challenges your brain and creates a stronger connection between different concepts. Review smartly. For example, after learning a new grammar rule, use it in sentences with vocabulary you already know. Learning is a dynamic process, so take on new challenges, but don't forget to review and combine what you've learned before. Our brains love routines, but routines can limit us. Imagine you always study in the same spot, like on your couch with a cup of tea. Your brain learns to be active only in that certain environment. But when you are in a noisy cafe or on the train, you might feel like you've forgotten everything. Why? Because your brain isn't used to that new environment. How can you fix this? Change your environment. Study in a park one day, a cafe another day, or even at your own desk at work. This trains your brain to recall information in different settings. Use diverse resources. Listen to language podcasts, watch educational videos, or read articles. This variety keeps your brain engaged and helps you learn better. Create real-life scenarios. For example, imagine you're at an airport and practice simple dialogue with yourself or in your mind. Excuse me, where can I find a taxi stand? How much does it cost to get to downtown? These changes make your learning more flexible and prepare you for real-world situations. Remember, the world isn't a classroom, so your learning needs to adapt to it. Speaking a new language is one of the toughest and most important parts of learning. Why? Because your brain has to do several things at once. Listen and understand what's being said, process the meaning, respond quickly and accurately. On top of that, you are dealing with accents, regional expressions, and cultural nuances. It is no wonder why it feels overwhelming at first. But there is the good news. The more you practice, the faster and more natural it becomes. How to practice speaking? Start small. Practice short, everyday sentences like, "What's your name? How was your day?" Once you're confident with these, move on to more complex sentences. Find a partner. If you have someone to practice with, great. If not, use smart tools like AI. Even talking to yourself or practicing in your mind works. Practice daily. Do something small every day to bring English into your daily life, like writing sentences in your notebook or imagining short conversations. Focus on communicating ideas. The goal in speaking or writing is to get your message across. Perfect grammar and word choice aren't the top priority. Language is a muscle that gets stronger more you use it. But if you neglect it, it becomes weak and ineffective. So, how do you keep this language muscle strong? Simple tips. Change your phone or computer language setting. Listen to music, podcasts, or news in English. Watch movies or series in English, even with subtitles. Play video games in English and follow the dialogues. Engage with English social media, leave comments, or interact with posts. Find a recipe in English and cook something new. Daily effort and consistent exposure will not only improve your skills, but also make learning enjoyable. Learning a language is like training for a race. You might reach your goal, but to maintain your speed and stamina, you need to keep practicing. If you stop, you'll lose some skills, but the good news is that regaining them is much faster than learning from scratch. Check out our self-study playlist to stay on track and turn your practice into a daily habit. We've created years worth of content to help you. What are you waiting for? Start now.